Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am so thrilled to have you back here again today. This is gonna be awesome. I took a little hibernation, as my guides called it, but I'm so happy to be back. They just told me it was time for me to just kind of do a little bit of R&R, relaxation, rejuvenation, and they were giving me tons of information and downloads and all kinds of things, but mostly it was time for me to be really at peace and rejuvenate. And around the 21st of December, which was a beautiful time where the planets literally lined up to make the Christmas star. I think it was Jupiter and Saturn. During meditations on that day, they were basically like, okay, your little rest and relaxation is over. Things are going to be like really jumping forward here. So I am so excited to share some of the things with you guys today. So what I'm going to be sharing with you today is a little bit about my team of light specifically, and I'm going to describe them, who is there, who I'm talking about when I say my team of light, and my guide said it's very important for me to share this with you guys to explain some of this. So I really want to be transparent with you guys. I give the information that my guides tell me to give, and it's hard for me sometimes to hold back information, and it's so funny because I did hold back a little bit in 2020 information that my guides had shared with me, and they were kind of like, we need to wait. There's people that are kind of awakening. They won't quite get it, and it's so funny because now starting shortly soon here, starting 2021, my guides are like, rip the Band-Aid off, say anything, basically they'll tell me, to share as much as I can. So we're about to get real weird. For those of you that do not know, I am a medium. I am a light worker. I'm many things. I'm a massage therapist. I'm an author, studying to be an herbalist, like all these things, right? Because I believe that it is my purpose and mission to help other people along their healing journey, whatever that may be, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So I love education, and I just drowned my brain in it, along the lines of anything all natural and spiritual to assist myself and my personal growth and expansion of consciousness, but as well as other people. And so along those journey, my own personal journey, I have had to do a lot of things to expand my own consciousness, to do my own soul work, and to get me ready for some of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you. So let me first explain what my team of light is. So my team of light is a broad term that I have been using to describe light body beings that are assigned to me because I am a light worker. Now, everybody, doesn't matter who you are, everybody has a spirit guide. Everybody has, maybe past loved ones or people that work with them on a soul level, on an unconscious, subconscious level, on a spiritual plane, to help assist you along your journey here as a human being, right? Now, if you are a light worker, you have those same guides, except you have like hundreds more. And depending on where you're at in the process, depending on how far and deep you get in, you actually kind of gain access to, we'll say, more guides, because it wouldn't really serve me well to have access to certain guides if I didn't understand all of the happenings, didn't do my soul work, didn't, raise my vibration, and then finally be able to get to a space where I was able to work with these light body beings. So, and to be, again, to be very transparent, there are light body beings that I have really started to work with huge in 2020, and there are still empty seats at my table, if that makes sense. So there's still more, guides to come. So let me explain my team of light. Now, this isn't everybody's, this is mine, and this is the type of light worker I am. I work mostly with people. Some light workers work more with the planet or more with animals. So my team of light is going to look a little bit different than other people's, but I'm just going to share and explain what that is. So in 2020, I met one of my newest guides, and her name is Zaya. And Zaya is a beautiful light body being, and I can honestly say that because Zaya is the truest light body form, higher self version of myself. So I know that that sounds a little wild for some of you, and others of you that have done your work, have met many other light body beings and things like that. You will just be nodding and smiling, right? And so let me explain that. So we have higher vibrational versions of ourselves. We are borrowing this human suit. This is our physical body, and we're playing a role as a human being. But all of this is just a game, right? We are having these experiences. We signed up to be a human being and have all these experiences, most of them based on emotional stuff. But our true character, our light body form, is light. It is vibration. It is frequency, right? It is simply light. And sometimes when you go beyond here in our space-time reality, you move beyond. If you step into the universe, there is no such thing as time, because we are now just basically a consciousness or a light body being. So when I connect to past loved ones on the other side, I can see them as simply a light body being. Just light, just like a wavy amount of light. However, they will choose to show me their original form, because I need to see that they are older and a grandfather. I need to see maybe some of their characteristics and their features and their gestures and their facial expressions. And that way I can explain them to my client that is in front of me, and it will be who they knew. But if I describe this light body being, their actual true form and character, their soul, their grandchild or their partner wouldn't really know who the heck I was talking about, right? And so they will present themselves to me in human form, because they're trying to be true to their character, the character that they once played as human beings. But in reality, when we all cross over, we will recognize our loved ones in light body form, which doesn't necessarily mean that they will look exactly like they did when we knew them here as human. So boom, boom, boom. There's like mind-blowing bombs going off everywhere. So just try and keep up, okay? So meeting my higher self has a different face, because it is my true light body self. Zaya is my light body being. Now, what I see isn't only light. And in most cases, a lot of times when we do cross over and we are in our light body form, a lot of times we can just be that light, but a lot of times we choose to take on the appearance of the past life or the body that we most connect to or most resonated with. And I can tell you right now, 99% of the time, it ain't human. Because human beings are these unique little characters that we play, and it's hard here on Earth. And my guides have told me multiple times that you have to have had many, many, many lifetimes, and you have to sign up to come to Earth, and then you have to be approved to come to Earth. Like, you have to meet a lot of criteria, because this crap is hard. It is hard here. It is totally emotionally based. We have a physical body to deal with. We feel very detached from our light body self and our guides and things like that. And we spend our entire lives rewriting what we've been programmed to think as children, rewriting all of that, siphoning through what is actually relevant, what is actually real and truth. Then we have to coach ourselves into reconnecting with our angels, with our guides, and with our higher selves, so that we can then feel normal again, feel our truth, feel our light bodies again. The more and more and more depressed, anxious, and alone we feel is because we are detaching from, we're getting farther away from our truth, our light body form, okay? So the more that you become one with yourself and you learn and study all that is you, the good, the bad, the ugly, the curves, the mistakes, all those things, and you embrace them, love them, and you let go of all of the past negativities and the traumas and the negative relationships, when we let go of all of that and just simply observe them as a part of our experience, we become closer and closer and then one with our higher selves. And when we can do that, we break through the basically time and space, because we now have the ability to be in human form and have this human experience, but we can also rise above that and actually connect and communicate with our angels, past loved ones, and even a higher versions of ourselves. So it was a big, long explanation for my guide, Zaya. And let me tell you, she is beautiful and kind of a badass. She's pretty awesome. So Zaya to me looks more like a aquatic-y being. She's kind of blue. She reminds me a lot of Avatar, kind of like that bluish, thin frame, tall. And she has like her, you know, when somebody's really fit, how we have lines like natural pec lines and natural ab lines. She has lines like that on her body that you can tell are just how her body is shaped, but it's true to her anatomy. So she has, instead of like six-pack abs, she'll have like these lines that kind of go down on her abdominal area. She'll have like little lines around her legs where like if you were human form, it would be like where your quads and hamstrings are all like kind of chiseled, like a cyclist maybe. But her lines are there, but they're in different areas and places, because I know anatomy well, human anatomy that is. And so she also has these big, beautiful eyes and almost like dreadlocky type, I don't want to say tentacles because that makes it sound weird and creepy, but they're like hair, but it's not hair. It's just, you know, kind of more like a wavy sea anemone kind of fish-like tentacle that's just really pretty, but they kind of look like dreadlocks to me. Okay, so that is Zaya. Now, I met her. I've been working with her and working my way up to her. So let me explain that. So originally, when I started working as a light worker, right? As I did all my attunements and became a Reiki master and really started meditating, I had access to other Reiki masters and ascended masters that were far beyond my lifetime, right? And also I had always worked with angels. Angels has always, they've always been a part of my work as a healer, as a massage therapist, as an energy worker, as a medium. They're always present, right? So the more I connected with them, the more I connected and did my own work, I kind of got exposed to another type of guide. And so it literally has been a journey. And so working with angels was kind of the beginning, and then working with the ascended masters with Reiki. And then, you know, I would say probably about 5-6 years ago now, I was having, during Reiki sessions, I would have little glimpses or phrases or a tiny sentence when a past loved one would come forward. It was not on purpose. It wasn't on cue. I didn't ask. I didn't, you know, it wasn't like I could do it on command. And so I was kind of like a bit frustrated, but also wanted to be able to have the ability to help my client, because obviously there was a message that a past loved one needed to get through. Sometimes I could see that there was a past loved one in my mind's eye. I could see that there was a past loved one and that just wanted to be a part of this Reiki healing session, which is beautiful. And other times I could see that they were kind of wanting to say something and I couldn't understand. So I dove really hard into meditation and asking and working on how to adjust my vibration and what I could do to be able to communicate better, to relay these messages to the people that are here in human form that needed to hear them so that they could continue on their healing journey, or feel connected to their loved ones again, or find peace, or complete some type of a process during their grieving or whatever, right? And so I really, really committed to doing that. And when I did, my guides told me very interesting things like stop eating meat and dairy. And I was like, what? And then boom, it was like as soon as I did the things that they were asking me to do, my vibration rose and I was really able to connect sharply. But it wasn't until I met my very, very dear and special guide to me, Jay. Jay was once an actual human being. I know his family well. We talk often. In fact, I just had a session with his mother a couple days ago. So Jay was once a real person. I never met him in human form. Although I knew his sister came to me for a Reiki session. During that session, Jay came through so loud and so clear. I was absolutely shocked. I had a full-blown conversation with him, which had never happened to me before. And he explained many detailed things that I would have absolutely no way of knowing, no access to, or it was the inner workings and thoughts of people in his family as he was crossing over and dying. Some of the things that he said, oh, they said this to me, or things like that. So there was tons of very specific information that he gave me. So when I was done with the session and I explained all this to his sister, I was thinking, oh my God, how the heck am I going to explain this? This sounds like I've lost my mind, right? And so over the years, we have really bonded and built a wonderful relationship, because Jay told me then in that very first meeting, and I didn't even catch it. His sister, like months later, was like, don't you remember? You told me he said that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So he explained to me that he was there to work with me, to help him communicate with his family so that they could have some grieving process and that they could heal and that they could really come to a place of peace. And that he was going to help me be able to do that for others. Okay, so he literally told me, I will be working with you. You're going to help me connect with my family and help them heal. And I'm going to show you how to do this. I didn't really get that at the time. I didn't really understand that. Now, this is all in my second book, which is called Awaken Conversations. It's this whole story. So if you're really intrigued by that, you're going to love that book. Now, Jay also worked very closely with me because I was so enamored with the idea that I was able to connect to this other light body being that had crossed over. And I didn't think you could do that. I didn't think a once human being that you've never met could turn around and be a guide of yours. Like, I was mind blown by that. I've never heard anybody talk about that before. It's always like a grandmother or, an ancient ancestor, or something like that, like Mother Mary or something, someone who maybe was once a real being here in human form, but long, long, long ago, right? This happened 3 weeks. 3 weeks. He died. 3 weeks later, him and I were having this spiritual conversation. So I'd never heard of that before. So anyway, if that is something that just really piques your curiosity and you're like, holy cow, I'd love to hear more about that story, please go get that book. It's on Amazon. It's called Awaken Conversations, and it's under Ashley Dawn. Great little read. Most people really, really love it. Easy read too. But he allowed me to connect and communicate even deeper, and I was really able to ask him all these fantastic and amazing questions, like, what is heaven like? What, are aliens real? And, like all these questions that we all have and really want to know. So those are in the book as well. So along those lines, it was, again, I worked originally with angels, then with Reiki Ascended Masters. Now I had this guy, Jay, and he told me that he was really going to help me become a medium. I already had the skills. I just needed to fine tune them, and he was going to assist with that. He was going to bridge the gap of the vibrational gap between me and this past loved one. He was going to help connect that vibration until I got to a point where I could do it on my own and naturally. And he told me that he would eventually step back. Okay. And so he has. Years and years and years later, I still connect and communicate with Jay, often, but I don't instantly feel like I need to use him as a crutch when I am working with a client. I can just connect with their loved one. Now, sometimes if their loved one is a little bit more scattered or they passed really recently, they aren't really in their full light body form yet, I will ask for my angels and Jay, my guides, to assist me in bridging that gap because it's a little, all over the place. It's shifting, the energy and vibration shifting too much, and I can't find a straight frequency to connect with, and they'll help me with that. So the reason why I'm explaining Jay is because after Jay, then I had more and more and more access to my main guides. My main spirit guides have been with me since I was a child. One, I call him the wise one, or Yoriel, or he's got a lot of little names, but he was this old soul that was with me for a long time. When I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was introduced to another younger guide who has now really stepped forward, and he's my main guide. He shows me the image of a lion, so I call him Leo. And we're like two little peas in a pod. He cracks me the heck up. He's hilarious, got a total sense of humor. My original guide, the older one, is always very stoic and doesn't laugh at any of my jokes. But Leo definitely does. And so in 2020, as I was meditating and I met this, my higher self version, Zaya is her name, right? She basically told me that she needed to work with me so that I could really bond and connect with her to the point every time I went to go astral travel or connect with guides or do anything, I did it with her, because she was basically saying that because she is a light body being, she doesn't have the limitations that I do as a human. And so I'm still grounded in human form, but only when I take my light body soul and kind of come out of body for a little bit, she has access to a lot of other things. And so she was like, we need to bond and connect and really work hard. So we meditated daily, sometimes multiple times a day for months, okay? So there came a point when she was like, I need to introduce you to your team, like your main team of light. And I had used this term before, but I don't think I really understood it. So she took me to a place where we went into a room, an oval room, or a room where there was an oval table, and there were 12 seats, and I sat in one. Now I'm one with Zaya, so I am there as if I am her, right? Because I am. And so I sat there, and then there was seats, 12 seats. So this is my team. So this is what my guides wanted to explain to me. I had to give a little bit of, or to you, I had to give a little bit of backstory here first. So sorry if it sounded really rambly, but here's now the team of light, right? My higher self, Zaya, explained to me that your team of light consists of all these different groups of people or categories that you now have access to. And she explained that you as a human being are very limited, like your hardware. Think of your brain as like a computer, right? Your hardware is limited. You only have so much storage and space and memory. You only have so many experiences you can have in one lifetime. But she's saying that when I meditate and go up into like my astral self and my light body self, I can plug in and connect to these different groups. So let me explain. There was my past lives. So think of how many lives you've had. They explained to me, and I put that in the book too, they explained to me that you've had to have many, thousands sometimes, of lives to get where you are in human form now. So like they're like, you've had thousands and thousands of lives. Think of all of the knowledge and wisdom you have right now, and think of if you had just 100 lifetimes. How much wisdom and knowledge would you have if you could actually remember each one of those lifetimes and all the things that you gained? Because, even pain is valuable. Positive memories are valuable. They're all valuable, right? And you had lifetime after lifetime, right? So there was a seat at the table that represented my past lives. And so I could access those and connect and communicate with my past life versions of myself and really see what were the key things that I needed to work on or that I had completed or all those things. There was another seat of all the angels. I work very closely with Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Ariel, Raphael, I'm missing some, Sandolphin, Metatron, Jovial. I work with so many angels, right? And so, of course, at this seat was Archangel Michael. But again, they're assigned to humanity. They don't care what religion you are. They don't care if you are Catholic or Jewish or Christian. That doesn't matter. All of that is like formalities. That's like this person wrote this book and it's so funny because as I'm explaining this, my guides are like joking with me. They're saying that there will be some people that think the things that I'm saying are absolutely ridiculous. But when you really look at how those books were written, how the Bible was written, I am doing exactly what they did, connecting to their higher selves, to source and to God, to then absorb and interpret information and spit it down on paper. There is absolutely no difference. None. A person, a human being wrote that book. And so they're saying that this has been going on for thousands of hundreds of years, right? And we once believed that we humans were not capable of these things, that we needed a book or a translator or a religion to help us to connect to this higher part of ourselves. And so my guides are kind of like laughing and they're like, you all have the ability. You all are source. You all are God. You all are the preacher. You all are the sinner. You all are you're all of it, right? And in your beautiful, beautiful form. And so that's funny to me that they were kind of pointing that out, that what I'm doing literally right now is not any different than what somebody did hundreds of thousands of years ago and wrote a famous book that we now know as the Bible or something, right? So that's kind of funny, but I digress. So with angels, Archangel Michael and all of the archangels are assigned to humanity. They don't care what you think or believe, all the little formalities, right? And so they are assigned to humans. And I work with them very closely during any healing session. And so they are sitting at the table. I also have my soul family at this table. So the soul family is all of the people that we agreed to go into a life experience with. So my mother, my father, my brothers, my sisters, my best friends, all these people that have these huge impacts. The next time we all come in together, we will all change roles and repeat, right? It's a new experience. And so we kind of have all of these lifetimes together. So my soul family is at the table. I have, who else do I have at the table? I have a group of Pleiadians, a group of, which is if you're not familiar, Pleiadians is a type of light body being. I guess you could say alien because they're not human, but then again, I could say any one of these things at the table are alien. You know what I'm saying? And if I am showing my true higher self in a different look and form, then I myself am alien. And it's hilarious to me too, because they're reminding me that when I originally asked them, for purposes of writing my book, when I originally asked them, what can you tell me about aliens? Are they real? They laughed. Like Leo literally busted out laughing at me, and he was like, oh, you're so pretty. You know, like he was like, oh, you humans crack me up. He was like, honey, you are one. Like, it's a funny question to them because they're like, you have been all of these lives. What makes you think they were all human? Why would you think that you've had thousands of lifetimes and you've only been human? You are in one little universe on one little planet, and there is endless, countless, life forms out there and possibilities. And if your job as a pure light body form is simply to learn and have experiences, why would you always be human? Again, they told me that long ago, you start off on an easier track. You start off in a light bodies and in a form that is not human, that isn't so harshly based in emotions and detached from source. You kind of start off like elementary school, and then you kind of get into junior high, and then you get into high school. And Earth and human is like freaking master's degree grad school. It's hard, okay? So you've had to have, at all of those phases, think how many times you are in elementary school, right? At least 6 full years as a human. That's kind of what they're saying. Like, you go through this phase and at least 12 times, and then you upgrade to the next category of experiences, which are a little bit more difficult. And then you repeat them over and over, and you have lifetimes in that category, right? And so each category could be anywhere in the freaking universe. It doesn't mean that you have to be human, right? So again, they're pointing out to me that although I say Pleiadian or Arcturian or, and who is at my table, right? Those may seem strange to some people because you're like, what the hell is she talking about? Is she talking about like talking to aliens and stuff like that? Some people might think that's odd, but I talk to angels too. Do you see what I mean? So we can't discriminate who's at the table is basically what I'm saying. So we are all at the table, different versions of light body beings, right? So there are Pleiadians at my table. There are Arcturians, and I really recently met. It's funny because sometimes they'll show me an empty seat. And a long time ago, I asked, like, who's at the empty seat? And they're like, you're not, it's okay. It's a light body being that's just not ready to show up yet. You're not there yet. And so yes, a couple days ago, I got to see who was at this empty seat. And his name is Tamu. And he told me that he is there representing a universal alliance. And he made me feel like there are agents, or I don't know the term, like peacekeepers, okay? Peacekeepers that work how we would think of like the police department or things like that, you know, like peacekeepers, you know, these are the peacekeepers of the entire universe. And he said that he was assigned to me and my team specifically, and he will escort me to meetings or conversations or things that need to go on when it is affecting my human self, our human selves, information that we need from like the Galactic Alliance or other groups that focus on balance and peace for all. Every human on planet Earth, every being in the universe, they step in and they make sure that if we needed to go through the ice age, they're like, all right, it's a process. Some of you aren't going to make it, but it's a process. It's important. They'll step back. But when things get really skewed and topsy-turvy, they will step in and start connecting and communicating with light workers like me and many, many, many others, right? To correct the balance. And again, he's right now telling me and reminding me, like, this is what we mean by holding space. And he explained that us light workers, right, and we come in all different kinds and forms, and probably 90% of you watching the video are some type of light worker, right? Otherwise you wouldn't be watching because it wouldn't be ringing true to you, right? So he's explaining that it is us light workers that are the most powerful and the most present and the most effective in keeping peace, because he's saying that as you expand your consciousness, as you connect with your light body being, as you create a high vibration of inclusiveness and unity, and you understand these things, you make these tiny small changes or ripples that happen in your little human body on your little human planet called Earth. But those ripples go out, and the more and more and more of us that connect like this, the bigger the ripples get. And this vibration is what they need to function and operate and hold peace, right? And so he's also saying that he wants to be very clear that their job isn't to stop violence. Their job isn't to stop free will decisions that we have made that are dumb. Like when we make bad decisions that end up causing us suffering or maybe hurting or killing somebody else, they don't step in. They're like, that's on you, boo. Like you had free will choice, right? So he's like, let me explain. We are not there to be your hero or savior. We are simply there to balance and keep peace. And peace and balance does also not mean 100% pure and good and positive and butterflies and unicorns either. Meaning that as many as there are light workers, there are other types of beings that are not so pure and positive and things like that. So it is their job to keep balance. It is not their job to eradicate negativity or bad things. It is their job to keep balance, right? And okay. So these are all of the groups of people that are at this round table that I call my team of light. So when I do channeled information for you guys and for myself, this is who I'm talking to and connecting with. So I've never really explained that in its entirety, but my guides were like, it's time, people can handle it. And so I'm like, okay, because for a while I was like, how am I going to explain Zaya? How am I going to explain my round table, my team of light? I'm like, I don't know. This is something that is just going to be way over the heads of most people. And, it's going to stamp me as this like crazy person. And sometimes when you have a purpose of helping others, you need to build trust with them. And so I was questioning and pushing back with my guides saying, I don't want to share this type of information if it means that people will not, they will pull back or not go seeking out other mediums or other people for help and assistance when they need it because they think it's all bananas and craziness. So it's just, I don't know why they said, for a while they're like, just kind of sit with it and just roll with this. And when it's time, we'll let you know. And so they were very adamant on it being time. And so the other thing that they're now telling me is they are so incredibly happy that, and they're telling me, I hope you guys can feel this come through. They're telling me they are so excited that they're like, you guys did it. You made it. 2020 was this like practice, which sounds scary, was this practice go round of all things chaotic. And all these things that were happening internal to you when you were losing relationships, losing jobs, crap was just like flying all over the place. So was your human race. With being sick and it's spreading through the whole world and political tensions and all these things. They're like you had to go through this as a collective, almost dark night of the soul. Dark night of the soul is a term that when you start to becoming aware of these things, you're becoming more awakened and you're aligning with your truth, all hell breaks loose. Things go totally like tits up and everything is crazy and you lose jobs and people and relationships. What your guides are doing is they're shaking you to awaken you and they're saying, let go of that relationship. It's holding you back. You need to work on this trauma because it's weighing you down. You need to raise your vibration. So we've got to rock your world. You've got to like a dog shakes off when they're after a bath and like all the water just comes flinging and flying off. That's what they're doing. They're ripping off all the band-aids. We call that the dark night of the soul. And so they're telling me is that many, 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 many light workers have gone through their dark night of the soul more than once, and they have adjusted and raised their vibration up. And so they were saying for you, specifically, you light workers, 2020 was not necessarily the dark night of the soul. It was just hard, right? You're like, when you've gone through some of the crap I've gone through as a light worker, they're like, 2020 was not that bad, right? Here's why. Because you, as light workers, have to have had experiences. You have to go through the muck and this magnitude of junk to get to a place where you understand yourself, where you understand your truth and you can stand in it with bravery. And that's kind of what they were telling me. They're like, today's the day you stand in your truth, and you will stand in it with bravery and confidence and conviction, because as you do, you give permission to others to expand their consciousness and start to slowly connect with their guides or their angels and be more and more comfortable and recognize their full human potential, because we have been programmed to believe that we are these like tiny little humans that just kind of wander through earth and just things happen to us, and we're very simple, and our guides are like, snap out of it. You are a badass human being. You are a light body being in human form. You are capable of crazy amounts of things that you are just have to remember. They're like, remember who you are, right? That was a huge message in 2020 if you were following any of my previous videos. And so they're telling me now, they're like, enough of trying to tiptoe around things. They're like, be real. And so they even told me that had I continued to say, oh, my team of light and all these things, they're like, people will start being like, who is she talking to? What is this girl about? And so they're like, transparency is key. And to go into 2021, they were like, transparency is key. You rip off the Band-Aids. And I was like, all right, here we go. And so I really was so excited to share this information with you guys, because as crazy as it seems to some of you, it kind of perked your little ears up and you're like, wait a minute, I feel like I've had these similar experiences. Or some of you are like, dang, I haven't had these experiences and I feel really drawn to this video and I really want to have these experiences. So here is what they want me to tell you, okay? They had me write some stuff down. So here's what they want me to tell you. 1, I explained that all of the people at my round table, my team of light, is for me, but you could have different light body beings, but they will always be about peace, love, unity, expanding your consciousness, growing your soul and your light body connection. They're very empowering always, period. There is not 1 ounce of negativity in there at all, okay? So they're always, always, always to support you and help you develop, right, as a light worker. And I explained some of the people at my round table, right? And they may be different for other light workers, right? Depending on your niche. You might like, you might be more earthly, and you might be here to feel like you really have to take care of the earth and the planet. So you may have more fairies, more like trees, and more plant-based, right? And so, and that has developed for me in recent, I'm about halfway through my herbalist education. And so like those are very, having conversations with plants, again, to some of you sounds crazy, but they are vibration. There is no difference between me having a conversation between a plant, an animal, your light body when I'm doing energy work on you, and a past loved one that is no longer here. It is frequency, vibration, and energy, honey. It is just physics, period. Take out all the little hocus pocusy hippie stuff. Don't get sidetracked by all of that. It is physics. That's it. It is that simple. So yes, we can have trees and plants at our round table too. So depending on what type of light worker, and again, I say light worker because that just simply means you are starting to remember your purpose, and it's here to help yourself and other people along our healing journey and expand our consciousness and raise our vibration. Doesn't matter what your specialty is, right? Mine is helping more people. Others might be helping plants or animals. Who knows? There might be even more categories that I don't even know, right? But mine is helping people. So I have a lot of people-based. That's why I work a lot with angels, because they are assigned to human beings, right? So I work with a lot of people-based energies, right? All right, so you may have different people at your table. Now, how do you get here? If you're watching this video and you're like, I meditate and I feel like I connect with my guide a little bit, how the hell do I go from that to having a round table, right? This is what they wanted me to tell you. Obviously, doing your soul work, your inner work and shadow work is huge, because you cannot expand and raise vibration if you are weighed down by an experience that happened. If you were abused, if you used to abuse drugs because of the abuse that you got as a kid, it doesn't matter. Most of us that are light workers have had very interesting abusive situations happen to us, or that we just walked into, right? This helps us to understand all, right? Remember, balance means understanding all of the good and all of the bad, right? And so unfortunately, we learn a lot of lessons from those really trying times. So they're saying if some of those things, if you look back on the molestation, if you look back on the addiction that you had, or the physically abusive parents that you had, or abusive relationships, maybe you didn't have a terrible childhood, but you lost a lot of people and that was very tragic for you, or you now have romantic relationships where you had these patterns of signing up with these people that are narcissistic and abusive, right? We've all been there, done that, right? So what they're saying is, if you look back at those things, and you can't look back at them as just observing them and being like, wow, I've been through some shit, but, I'm so grateful for my experiences and where I am and who I am, and I embrace them all. If you look back and you do that, kind of, you are golden, right? But if you look back and you're like still feeling that uncomfortableness or that pain or that anger for the other person involved or whatever, you got work to do, right? And here's the thing with inner work and shadow work. You will only be able to heal however much you can at the time. So let's say, I'm going to make this up, this isn't true, but let's say I had like alcoholic parents, and I felt like the abandonment and the anger and the frustration that they weren't loving me the way that I deserve, and they weren't being there for me like a parent should, and leaving me. Maybe they would forget about me in their alcoholic stupor, and they would leave me behind sometimes, or not shop. They'd not shop for food, but for alcohol. And now I'm angry that I'm hungry and all these things, right? That is huge in so many emotions. You as an adult may be able to work on the abandonment issue. Then you will be like, cool, I feel like I'm done and over all of this. I feel so much better. And it circles back to you and you're like, dang it, I thought I fixed this. I thought I worked on this shadow work, this traumatic experience. Honey, you worked on the abandonment. You got anger issues. You got daddy issues. You got, now you may be looking for partners that also fall into that category because you haven't dealt with the situation properly. So there are little layers, right? There are layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers. So we have to work through all of them. So be patient with yourself, love and honor and respect yourself and all of the experiences that you had, because we can only heal however much we can at that time. That's why grieving is a process. It's one of the only things that we label a process to, right? Trauma or PTSD is a process. When you live there, when you stay there, when you commit to being the victim constantly, there's something up there. We need work. There's work to be done, right? When you go through a process of grieving and now you look back in memory of your loved one and you remember all the beautiful things, and of course you miss them and you wish that they were there in physical form, but you wouldn't change a thing, and you absolutely love them, and every time you think of them, your heart is just filled with so much love and joy. You're good. You're good. So it's kind of like those big traumatic things, we will chisel away at small things at a time until we can get beyond them, right? So soul work, shadow work, whatever you want to call it, is vital, which is why it came so much up in 2020, right? And you could see it on an individual scale and a collective. The whole planet was freaking out about inequality, about poverty, about health and wellness, about politics, you name it. And there was like every little pot that could be stirred was stirred, right? And you could see that was happening on a large scale and an individual scale, right? It's time to do that work. So if you want to sit at a round table with your own team of light, do the work, right? It's hard and it sucks, but you have to do the work, right? So that's number one. Number two that my guides wanted me to share with you is how to get to this point, right? Meditate, freaking meditate, okay? Why? Is because when you do, you connect with yourself and your truth and your higher self. As you develop that connection, you know the feeling and that frequency. It is then easy for you to identify when there is another light body being, an angel, stepping up to work with you. Now you can decipher between the two. Then when another light body or a different angel, like Archangel Michael feels very different to me than Ariel or Gabriel or Raphael, right? They all feel different. So if I did not know my own light and self well, it would muddy it and I wouldn't be able to distinguish whose energy is whose, right? Which again is a total side note, but I'll say it. This is why people have social anxieties 99% of the time. It's because they feel themselves and everything and everybody else going on around them, everybody else in the room, and they can't handle it. They have not done their work. They do not have at that moment the ability to distinguish between their own energy and the energy of others around them. Boundaries. people. Boundaries are very important, right? So as I meditate and I connect with my higher self, I'm in a sense creating that boundary. I'm just going to use it in a different context, but the boundary is that I know where I stop and another begins. And therefore I can distinguish. I have seen the outline and the boundary of self, which allows me to connect easily with other beings, right? So meditation is absolutely key. Don't forget, ask to connect with your guides, ask to feel what they feel like, to see what they look like, to exchange a vibration or a feeling, an energetic vibration within you, right? They will start working with you and they will use patterns. Okay? So when you hear a song with the same lyrics that somebody then repeats, that you then see on a poster, that you then see on a TV commercial, or again, these are patterns, right? When something comes up and it's a pattern, it's one of two things. One, your guides are like, good job, you get it. See the patterns, we're connecting and communicating with you, you're doing great. Or they're like, holy cow, here's a shadow thing issue that you need to work with, and it's a total trigger, and we got to get you to work on this. Do you see it? Here's a pattern, here's a pattern, here's a pattern, here's a pattern. It's here, 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 and here. So patterns are absolutely valuable to us because it tells us what we need to work on, but it also tells us when our guides are really connecting and communicating. Now they're connecting and communicating both times, whether they're trying to encourage us or trying to shed light on something we need to work on, they're still communicating. But patterns are key, and that's how they will do that. Eventually you will get better and better at developing your clairs, as I call them, hearing your clairaudient, your clear hearing, your clairvoyant, simply knowing, your clairsentience, feeling, right? Feeling emotion, being an empath. You will start to work on more and more and more of those because that is how your guides communicate, because they communicate through telepathy, through your mind, through vibration, through energetic exchange, right? And your nerves in your brain work with energy, right? With frequency and vibration, right? So they connect and communicate to you in your mind. So in the beginning, it sounds like you when it's actually them. But if you don't know who you sound like, you can't distinguish, right? So when I talk with my guides, I hear my voice in my head. It's not anybody else, right? I hear my voice in my head, but it will sound slightly different. Maybe with an accent. If I'm working with a past loved one who doesn't speak English, I'll feel like I hear myself talking with an accent, right? Or I'll hear myself talking, and as I translate it, it sounds like broken English. And I'm like, what? So I will know that this person's grandfather didn't speak English very well. And I will be able to kind of hear the accent that I'm trying to mimic in a sense, right? But they're being true to form. That's how they were when they were human, right? Your guides do the same. Your guides will connect and communicate with you through telepathy and in your mind over time, but they will, and we think of this as our little voice in our head. That is your guides. Stop dismissing that, right? That's your guides talking to you. So when you hear that little voice in your head, that is your guides, your angels. They're talking to you. And it will become more clear the more you meditate and distinguish what your own thoughts and voice are. It will still sound like your voice, but it will just have a tiny little tweak to it, and you'll start to pick up on that it's different things that are connecting and communicating, right? So meditation is absolutely key. And I think one of the most important things is that you've got to have an open mind. Stop thinking that you are this little human being and that we are born and we have these life experiences and we get jobs and we make money and then we die. That is not a human experience. You are in total denial about your human experience. We are these amazing light body beings, and we are capable of all the things that I've been talking about. Many people have been doing it for a long, long time. And in fact, our own government has plenty of research out there, free for you to go look at, where they have worked with people doing this for a long time, and they have developed these skills for a long, long, long time with human beings. Okay, so this is not fictitious or made up, or the inner workings of some weird little quirky hippie girl. This is actual factual stuff, okay? And you are fully capable of doing it, 100%, okay? So I feel like that was so much information. I had a little bit more, but I think I'm gonna make a different video for what's going on in 2021, just because I feel like that was so much information for you. So I, again, wanna clarify that my team of light has these groups of people, and they have told me that I can connect to them at any time, and I don't have to remember every detail of the universe. I don't have to remember every meditation and everything that they have told me. I can simply go back and connect with that light body being. I can connect with Archangel Michael and be like, hey, remember this one time I feel like I need to rehear this conversation, and he will have the information. I don't have to always store it, right? So this is the importance of having connections to your light body team, because you then have an never-ending expanded consciousness that I can plug into. I don't have to know the answers here, right? I didn't go to an extended amount of traditional college, right? I've done a lot of inner workings and trade school type things and holistic type things, and those aren't in traditional college stuff, right? So I can't tell you what a mathematical calculation problem is, but my guides still told me. One of my last videos was on geometrics, the ancient like shapes and calculations and things like that, right? I don't need to have that class or take that class. I don't need to have that information in my brain as a human. I can connect and receive that information from them. So this is a way to endlessly expand consciousness, right? And it's a way to get a ton of information in and have me interpret it out to share with you. And that's really what they wanted me to explain. They wanted me to explain that this is what I am doing when I do these videos. This is what I'm doing when I'm doing energy work or mediumship. And this is something that you can do. I am not magical. I don't grow a unicorn horn to do this, right? So these are things that you are fully capable, because you are an equal, amazing light body being, and you can totally do these things too. So they wanted me to kind of explain some of this and put this out here and plant these seeds, because I do honestly feel that 2020 was a huge awakening for so many people. So many people were waking up and realizing that there's so much more going on in the world than we are programmed to think or have been told or constantly subliminally messaged through, media and stuff like that. So they wanted me to share that this is what is really going on with a lot of people and a lot of light workers. Okay, so anyway, I hope that this was a really neat, different adventure for you guys. I hope that this resonates with you, and if it doesn't, it's cool. It's cool. You don't have to absorb everything all at once. Had somebody had this video and conversation with me, I don't know, 6 years ago, I would have been like, that girl's bananas. And I would have kept on scrolling, right? So you may not just be at that space, but I really have a feeling my guides would not have wanted me to share this level and magnitude of information unless you guys were ready. So I'm so honored to do that, to open your minds and expand a little bit of your consciousness, plant those seeds, because 2021, I think, is going to be an interesting year. And I think it will just be so much easier for many, many of us if we do have those connections to our higher selves. We're just going to coast on through, and it, all the chaos in the world doesn't have to affect us as much when we are whole and we know kind of who we are and the amazing things that we can do. So, all right, as always, I hope you guys please subscribe. It really helps me to get out there, expand, and deliver this information to more people. And it's something that I absolutely feel that is my purpose and I love doing. So please like and subscribe, and please stay tuned, because I will have another video coming out about what my guides have discussed with me as far as what 2021 will be like. As always, love and light, my friends.